What is going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Mike Roach Podcast, where I talk everything politics, sports, culture, and beyond. Now, on the agenda today is all politics, folks. All politics, okay? But before I get into that, I want to wish everyone a happy Easter. I want to wish you a happy Sunday if you're just tuning in. But most of all, folks, thank you for the love and support you've been giving me on this podcast. I have now eclipsed 500 subscribers on this show, and I want to thank everyone very, very much. Now, as I mentioned, all politics today because this past week we witnessed the French and English debate for the Canadian federal election that involved Pierre Poilievre, Mark Carney, Yves-François Blanchet, and Jasmeet Singh. Okay, now some of the most important things in this election: inflation, cost of living, affordable housing, US relations, mass immigration, pipelines, and the rise of crime. Now, if you're going to be listening to a debate of this magnitude, you're going to want to hear about those specific topics. And we did hear about them, but not as much as I thought we were going to. Affordable housing, inflation, the cost of living, what your rent is, clothes, groceries. Those are all very, very big, important topics. Gas prices, all that kind of stuff. Huge, just huge in regards to this election because it affects everybody. You know, the most people in this country make between 55 and $60,000, and when you make that now, it's pretty much almost impossible to live. It really is almost damn near impossible. And so something needs to be done in regards to affordability in this country. US relations is a big thing. Donald Trump is obviously now the president of the US, and you never know. There's a whole bunch of tariffs. Things change from one week to the next, one day to the next, and you're going to need a leader who's going to be able to combat that, sit at the table, negotiate, not only with him, globally as well, with leaders from all over the world, but obviously right next door to us is the US. And so when you look at Carney or Polyev, you have to decide who do you believe is going to do a better job of being able to sit down, negotiate, and hash things out with Donald Trump to make things better for Canada. That is a major, major big issue. Mass immigration is also very big. Mass immigration is a huge topic of discussion in Canada because there has been an influx of immigrants coming into this country, and to the point where it's so much that we don't have enough housing, we don't have enough jobs. The way your standard of living is beginning to change a bit depending on where you are because of how many immigrants have come in. And not that they've come in, they've just come in really, really quickly at the same time. And so that is a huge thing in Canada. Pipelines, massive, massive topic in Alberta, especially, but for Canada as well. Canada has an abundance of oil in Alberta. And do you plan to keep that oil in the ground, or are you going to export? Are you going to sell that oil and make Canada rich? Now, there are countries, and a lot of countries around the world, in Asia and beyond, that have been looking to buy oil from Canada, but the Liberal government has refused to sell oil to pretty much anywhere except the United States, making Canada really, really dependent on the United States. And at this point, we have seen that with everything going on, that is going to have to change. That is going to have to change. So that's a big part of the election as well. And the rise of crime, folks. There are a lot of people in this country who are very brazen at this point. They have no fear of the government and law enforcement because they know that if they commit crimes in this country, they're just going to be back out on bail. I mentioned this many times. Go back and listen to the episode that I have with Clayton Campbell, who is the president of the Toronto Police Association. If you commit a crime for breakfast, you will be out on bail for the lunch special. I told you that. You go commit a crime at breakfast. Trust me. For the lunch special, you will be out ready to be served in a restaurant because that's how fast you get out on bail when you commit crimes in this country. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, that is another topic that people want to hear discussed in this debate. Now, after listening to this debate, I will say this. For the most part, your mind is probably still the same. I don't think it really changed anything. It was pretty, not pretty average, but I will say everything that we've already been hearing from these candidates is the same thing that we heard. It's the same exact thing that we've heard. And so your mind won't necessarily change unless there was something kind of polarizing that you heard. And I didn't really find any of that was in this debate, except for when Pierre Poilievre said that mass murderers should only leave prison in a pine box. I do respect that. But aside from that, like your mind wasn't going to be changed in this debate, in my opinion. It's already been made up. The only thing I really didn't understand is why waste your time with the other candidates. That's what I didn't understand. That's what I didn't get. Now, Yves-François Blanchet, that guy only cares about Quebec. He doesn't care about the rest of Canada. So why he was even on the stage makes absolutely positively no sense in my opinion. And Jasmeet Singh, he is at a 25-year low, the NDP. And he might even lose his seat. It's been that bad. Nobody cares about what Jasmeet Singh has to say at this point. Nobody does. That guy doesn't stand on business. He just flip flops from one way to the other. And this is a guy who was pretty popular about 4 or 5 years ago. But since then, his numbers have just tanked, absolutely tanked. And at this point, it seems like for Jasmeet Singh, his political career might actually be in jeopardy. That's how bad that he is doing in this race. And to be completely honest with you, I understand why. I understand why, because one thing you have to realize is this: things are always changing and things move very, very quickly. And the political landscape, not only in Canada, not only in America, but around the world has changed. And for some reason, a lot of people and some of these candidates just can't seem to figure that one out. They can't understand that things have changed. And if you don't change with it, people are going to change their mind about you and leave you behind. And that is what people have to understand. And the NDP, as of right now, clearly don't understand that. And because of that, they're probably going to have to find another leader aside from Jasmeet Singh because they are absolutely atrocious at this point. And last thing I want to say before I move on, Yves-François Blanchet, he doesn't even want to be the prime minister of the country. I'm going to share my screen with you here quickly because I got to show you guys this. He literally says it in the debate, which I don't understand why he was even in the debate at that point. Watch, I'm going to show you. Watch this.
You know what? I don't want to be the leader of Canada. You will understand that. I don't want to be prime minister. But I can offer to be a partner, a responsible partner, a collaborative partner. If Quebec is respected in its differences, in its aluminum industry and lumberwood industry and culture and French language and values of secularity of the state, which is the price to be paid in order to have real equality, then if we are respected, we will be a partner, and then even Canada will be stronger in its negotiation against Donald Trump. This is what I am offering. Respect us.
Okay, so to me, that made absolutely, I mean, it didn't really make much sense if you're a Canadian. Yes, for Quebec, yes, I understand. It does make some sense, but overall, I mean, come on, man. Why are you wasting people's time if you really don't want to be the prime minister of the entire country? Like, come on. It's just ridiculous. And I think that is just a waste of time. Now, before I get out of here, some things that I did realize. They got to ask each other questions, which I actually really liked because they got to come up with their own question, ask who they wanted to ask it to. And then the person who was asked the question got 3 minutes to respond to that, which I really, really like because they didn't go to the moderator for it all. They did it this way. And that to me is real debate. And then after that, when this thing was concluding, I saw Mark Carney and Pierre Polyev, Yves-François Blanchet. They all came around. They were, patting each other on the back and smiling it up, shaking hands and all that kind of stuff. Well, Jasmeet Singh was kind of on the outside just looking in, which I thought was telling. He's going to have to do something. All of the NDP is going to have to do something. They look absolutely disgraceful at this point. And it doesn't look like anyone wants to be associated with Jasmeet Singh overall. Now, I'm not picking on him. I'm just telling you what I see. I do think Jasmeet Singh was highly respected, like I mentioned 4 or 5 years ago, but that has just gone straight down the tube. Okay. Now, I suggest everyone do their own research and get out there and vote. Early voting is still going on until the 21st. Don't rush to get to the polls. If you haven't done so, you don't have to rush. But in my opinion, you should think with your head, not with your heart. There is not a lot of love in politics. So try to make an informed decision. And before I go, I got to say this. On the first day of early voting, largest voting turnout in history on day one, with 2 million voters. 2 million voters. That, ladies and gentlemen, is impressive. Okay. At Mike Roach 23 on X, at Mike Roach 7 on IG. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, share, and rate everything the Mike Roach Podcast. I'm on Apple, I'm on Spotify. I haven't been prompt with downloading or uploading my latest episodes because I'm trying to get some of the traffic over here on YouTube, and it has worked. And I want to say big shout out, like I mentioned, to everybody who has subscribed. I have now eclipsed 500 subscribers on YouTube. So I want to say thank you there. And thank you for all the people who have been getting in the comments. Thank you to everybody getting in the comments. I'm going to be using those comments, by the way, on some of my future episodes, a lot more actually, because a lot of the comments I've been seeing have been really, really good. So, folks, it's your boy Mike Roach. I will be back again soon, and I'm out.